Hey, welcome back to another edition of STEN Reacts in the Bourbon Bar. Again, what better place to talk politics than with your favorite whiskey and an oak charred tumbler? You really can't beat that. So welcome back. The coming weeks and all summer and fall will be inundated. We're all going to be with political campaign ads and statements and debates and interviews to analyze. And we'll be covering a lot of those right here on STEN Reacts. And I encourage you, if you see a statement or you see a piece of video you'd like me to react to, just go to oceanstatecurrent.com/tips, and you can submit the link of the document right there. All right, today is a little bit different because this reaction involves us. My organization, the Rhode Island Center for Freedom and Prosperity, involves me, and it involves our staff, and it involves an interview we did on the Ocean State Current, the channel that you're watching right now. So last week, as many of you may know, we conducted an interview with a Democrat candidate for Lieutenant Governor, current Representative Deb Ruggiero. She was gracious enough to join Ron St. Pierre, as you can see, and I thought we aired it last Thursday evening on the whatever date that was. What is the date of 16th? And I thought it went very well. Good interview. Ron did a great job. The representative did a great job. Well, this is political hardball season. Deb Ruggiero was a legitimate candidate in the Democratic primary for lieutenant governor, and the incumbent campaign, the current lieutenant governor, Sabina Matos, must really be concerned about Representative Ruggiero, because the next day, just 16 hours or so after we posted that interview, they attacked the sitting, I want you to think about this, the sitting lieutenant governor and her campaign attacked not only us, but Deb Ruggiero for basically having the nerve or the gall to associate with us. As you can see, Mike Rea is, I believe, their campaign, Matos's campaign manager, says right here, Democratic public officials should not use their far-right organizations to give credence to groups like ours, who they call far-right organizations, conspiracy theorists, and Trumpian rhetoric. Listen, folks, we get this all the time. We've been getting it for 11, 12 years. This, you can see it's on the official letterhead of the Lieutenant Governor, Sabina Matos. We're going to get more into that statement, and I'm going to show you how many things were wrong or misleading in that statement in just a second. But so it created a little bit of a buzz out there in social media. And you'll see why I'm reacting in a second when I go through the letter. Disappointingly, Representative Ruggiero, rather than stand strong, basically succumbed to the pressure from the far progressive left, basically praising Ron St. Pierre, who conducted the interview, who deserves praise. He's a nonpartisan guy. He's an honest guy. He's a good reporter. He's a good journalist. He did a great job in the interview. But she joins in the attack on us. Basically, I vehemently disagrees with our values. Look, that was a weak response by the lieutenant governor candidate, by Representative Ruggiero. It's my belief that if she had stood strong, that this could have been great political ammunition for her to use against the Matos campaign. She's going to remember, she's in a race against the lieutenant governor. So the question is she in that race to win? Draw a contrast between herself and the sitting lieutenant governor? Or is she in the race to advance the progressive left political agenda? And it seems right now that her reaction is it's more important to her to continue the talking points, the irrational, childish, never land and make-believe talking points of the political agenda of the far left. But Representative Ruggiero is not our primary concern today. It's the campaign of sitting Lieutenant Governor Sabina Matos, and it's the media who allows such unfounded, mindless statements to be perpetuated out there on social media or wherever else without responding. You know, the just very quickly, I don't want to get off too much on a high horse here, but I heard a very interesting sermon not too long ago. We're in the Bible according to John. He talks about the Holy Spirit. He calls it the Holy Spirit of truth. The Holy Spirit is the spirit of truth. In America, the media are supposed to be the guardians of truth, right? That's their job. That's why we have First Amendment, freedom of the press, liberties. They are supposed to honestly, objectively raise awareness about corrupt governance and abuses of power, and to hold government to their constitutional limitations. When a person promotes untruths, he's said to be sinning against God or ignores the truth. When the media, in their role as guardians of the truth, promote untruths and false narratives or fail to defend the truth, can we also say that they have sinned against the people of America? I think so. I think so. All right, let's take a look. Let's take a close look at this statement put out by the Sabina Matos campaign. And let me point out some of the inconsistencies and lies in there. Now, look, we've decided to take the high road here. You'll see in this, I'm going to say it, they've directly implied that we are racist, white supremacists, whatever else you want to say. You can't go halfway, just like with the N word, you can't go halfway down and try to qualify it the way you'll see they did. Right? You can't sort of put flowery language around white supremacists and racists and try to make it seem, well, we don't really want to say it all the way. We're just going to partly. There's no part way here. You're either in or you're out. Either you're making the accusation or you're not. That's my view on it. All right. All right. Let's go back to that statement by Sabina Matos. Again, I don't know who this Anthony Cherry is. I guess that's must be a campaign manager for up here for Deborah Girio, but you can see it signed by Evan England, friends of Sabina Matos. But it was put out by Mike Rea, who's part of her campaign on social media. I showed you that tweet a minute ago. And now we're going to react on the official letterhead of Sabina Matos. So let's get into this a little bit. Lieutenant Governor Matos was invited to a debate hosted by the Ocean State Current. Mostly true. We also invited, if you don't want to debate, how about conducting an interview? They don't mention that here, but again, full transparency, truth. This gets me. Sabina Matos is firmly committed to inclusive values and representation for all Rhode Islanders. And then immediately they go on to say, except all Rhode Islanders, except those associated basically with the Ocean State Current and the Rhode Island Center for Freedom and Prosperity. Why? Because they said we promoted the big lie. Now, what does that have to do with conducting an interview? Now, first, we didn't promote the big lie. We conducted an interview. And it's not a lie. The movie 2000 Mules, and we interviewed one of the producers, I guess you would call it, Catherine Engelbrecht, about a month ago. We interviewed her. It's a nationally known movie. It's in the media everywhere. It's a media story. We covered the story. We promoted nothing. We let others tell their story. Now, until recently, we were in partnership with individuals who defend the indefensible rhetoric of white supremacists. Now, in their email to us, they didn't even know that Justin Katz has for 15 months not been part of our organization. So first of all, they don't even know what they're talking about. And then they talk about my former colleague, co-founder of the Ocean State Current. Now he writes for Anchor Rising. Justin Katz is a good friend, former colleague. Justin Katz sometimes himself plays hardball politics. But playing hardball politics has nothing to do with being a white supremacist. If you don't agree with white supremacists, critical race theory, or other far-wing left, that doesn't make you a white supremacist. That doesn't make you a racist, like they're claiming in this letter. They're just flat out wrong. Justin Katz is a great family man. He's a great conservative. Yes, he plays hardball sometimes. But the rhetoric, defending the rhetoric of white supremacists never happened. Now, again, they're attacking us, but they point to something, as you can see down here, they point to something that's not even part of our website. They point to Justin Katz's Twitter account. I don't have anything to do with Justin Katz's Twitter account. I'm not trying to throw him under the bus. I support pretty much everything he's ever said. But when somebody says something who's no longer associated with us, not even on our own website, on our own Twitter account, how can you possibly use that as criticism of us? So they said up here, they felt a moral obligation. Let me reshare the screen. They felt a moral obligation to decline their invitation. And they go on and talk about how they're surprised Deb Ruggiero would help to normalize a fringe dark money organization like our center. All right, fringe. We stand for the Constitution of the United States, which is the foundational principles of this country, period. How is that fringe? I would say it's clearly fringe for somebody who believes otherwise than that. Dark money. We are a 501c3 nonprofit. The Supreme Court on multiple occasions has upheld the assumption that nonprofits like us do not have to disclose their donors. It all started with the NAACP, who was threatened by back then Democrat white supremacists. Why would I subject my donors to this kind of harassment if I made their names public? This is what would happen right here. And us now race baiting, we have never race baited in our life, ever. You know that. That's why you're watching this show, watching this channel and this show, because you know we're honest people. We talk about difficult issues where the other media in this state does not. We have never race baited. Flirting with conspiracy theorists. Listen, what's a conspiracy to you is legitimate news to somebody else. There's theories, there's people all over the place. I don't know what they don't even cite what they're referring to. I have no way to respond to that. We've talked to a whole bunch of people on our show. They go on to talk about how Ron St. Pierre is widely respected, but then they immediately get into taking a cheap shot at me, a known member of Rhode Island's far right. Again, is it far right to believe in the Constitution? Does that make me abnormal somehow? Does that make me far right as if it's out of the mainstream? Who often embraces fringe talking points. Again, they don't tell you what those fringe talking points are. This is, they make these general accusations. How do you respond to something like that? So I won't. And a platform to charlatans who promote misinformation. And I'm pretty sure they're referring to Dr. Andrew Boston here, who has been, yes, he was anti-conventional wisdom with the whole COVID narrative, the whole lockdowns, the testing regimens, the vaccine push, the PCR testing, the mask mandates. And you know what? Not only was he out of the mainstream media and the government narrative, but he was right. He's now been proven right about all of that. Who's the charlatan here? Who's the real charlatan here? These people are so funny, it's ridiculous. They don't even see it. They live in their little never land and make believe. They don't even see it. The memo goes on to say that I've dismissed any public health restrictions designed to help Rhode Islanders from COVID and all quacks. Again, apparently like Dr. Boston. But again, they cite a reference, not from our center, but they cite an Anchor Rising, which is Justin Katz's platform. They're criticizing us, but now two of their first three citations are citations in places that have nothing to do with us. These people have no idea how to, it's clueless. We've dismissed health restrictions that don't work. And we've had epidemiologists and medical researchers on this show who gave you the research that showed that those kinds of measures don't work. Well, that's what we did. We gave you the truth. Remember we talked about truth there earlier? We talk about the truth, inconvenient as it may be to them. They say that we've organized efforts to fund recall efforts to recall school board members, and they're talking about Lima, school board member Lima, I can't remember her first name, Jennifer? Yeah, Jennifer Lima down in North Kingstown. We did no such thing. And again, they cite in their criticism of us, they cite, as you can see right here, the Gatsby Project. The Gatsby Project are friends of ours. They're part of our coalition, but the Gatsby Project is not our organization. The Gatsby Project is a separate organization, separate board of directors, separate bank accounts, separate corporate IDs, separate tax exempt, notices. They're not us. And so for the third time, they cite an outside reference to try to criticize us. And they say, I also promoted and endorsed efforts to pass a Florida Don't Say Gay bill type bill here in Rhode Island. Again, we did no such thing. They link to a parental rights page we have. Yes, we believe in parental rights. Yes, we believe that parents should have a say in the educational issues and books and curriculum of their kids in their schools. We've never specifically, and it's not a don't say gay bill. You know that the term gay is not anywhere in the bill. We support a parental bill of rights, but that's not what that Florida bill was all about. So again, an error. They're just wrong. And then they finish by saying we gave a platform to Justin Katz, who are vitriolically anti-choice. So now being pro-life is somehow a crime. Okay, we disagree. Hey, we're mature enough to understand that people have different views. They're not. So we are vitriolically anti-choice, casually homophobic. What the hell does that mean? What does that mean? Just because we kept saying, we told you so. When that same-sex marriage bill passed and you told us, hey, all we want is the privacy of what we do in our own bedroom and no one interfere with that. And we said, that's fine, but you know, this is the camel's nose under the tent syndrome. It's not going to end there. This agenda is going to be pushed and pushed and pushed. And it's now pushing. When you look at the transvestite children's happy hour in libraries, when you look at the CRT agenda, the trans agenda, the LGBTQ agenda, the anti-American defund the police agenda, when you look at all those agendas now being taught for our good to our kids, that's no longer in the privacy of the bedrooms. And then they say we're unconscionably sympathetic to white supremacy without even citing an example. Folks, this is a sitting lieutenant governor of one of the 50 states in the United States of America. And they are not only casting around wrong information, false information, but they are purposely misleading, and they are using some of the most vitriolic terms themselves without providing any concrete examples, because there are none, of what they're talking about. I have called publicly on Governor McKee to publicly denounce what I call this mindless and unfounded attack on our center, on me, our staff, on the Ocean State Current. Lieutenant Governor Sabina Matos is his handpicked lieutenant governor. She didn't win the election. She was picked by him after he was elevated to governor. And for all intents and purposes, she is his running mate, even though they're separate elections this year. Governor McKee, where does the buck stop? Your lieutenant governor has proved herself to be nothing more than part of the lunatic left, part of the cancel culture, part of those narrow-minded, see nothing, hear nothing, say nothing, progressive leftists, the political supremacists, as I have called them, who can only see and can only consider their own point of view. And everybody else, they hate. It's one thing to disagree with someone politically, but in their view, in Sabina Matos's view, if you disagree with us politically, that's grounds for hate, and that's grounds for us to put out hate-filled speech like this statement her campaign put out. And the rest of the media is complicit in their silence. The media knows me. They know I'm an inconvenient truth to the status quo. but they also know I'm not a race baiter. I'm not a white supremacist. They know that, but yet the media, Nisi, Donis have actually promoted Matos's side of things without asking for a statement from us. That's not good journalism. And the rest of the media in this state, outside of this channel, is silent on the issue. Just like with God and the Holy Spirit, you sin against God if you promote untruths or deny the truth. We see the media supporting untrue narratives and denying truths themselves. Their silence in this state means they have sinned against you and me and the people of Rhode Island. I hope you enjoyed this segment of STEN Reacts. We'll be back to look at some other more traditional campaign ads in the coming days and weeks. And again, remember, you can put in your tip on what you would like me to react to at oceanstatecurrent.com/tips. For STEN Reacts, this is Mike Stenhouse. We'll see you next time in the Bourbon Bar. Good day.